Hello, good evening, and welcome to all of you. This is Rajesh, and I am here to discuss the new lecture on the effect of drought stress on plant growth and development. So, friend, this is one of the very important topic for all the competitive exams, and in this lecture, we will discuss the different effects of the drought stress on plant physiological, morphological, biochemical processes. So, friends, in the last class, the abiotic basics of abiotic stress, we had discussed that there are so many types of stress, and drought is one of the major stress which affect the different processes like physiological, morphological, biochemical, and molecular in the plants, and also ultimately reduce the yield potential of all the crops. So in this lecture, we will discuss some effects of the drought stress. So drought is defined as the event, okay, when there is a prolonged shortage in the supply of water. Means the water supply is less for a long period, then there will be a shortage of water. It could be atmospheric, means there will be a less rainfall below the average rainfall, or it could be agriculture drought when the irrigation supply is less than the demand of irrigation. Then soil drought means there will be a shortage of surface and groundwater. And last one is the physiological drought when the transpiration is higher than the water uptake. So these are the conditions which makes the drought stress or water stress. Means if there is a less rainfall, or there will be a less irrigation, or there is a less availability of surface and groundwater, and the transpiration is higher than the water uptake. So these conditions increase the water stress. Also, the occurrence of drought stress at different growth stage of the plants interfere with the normal plant functioning, which results in the reduction in final yield. So friends, you know that there are so many types of growth stages, in the plant. So first is the germination, phase. Second, that seedling establishment is there, seedling establishment, or you can say it is juvenile phase. Then there is a vegetative phase, then reproductive phase, and then maturity. So there are number of growth phases in the plant growth cycle. Okay, so they are the effect of drought is different at the different growth stages. Means drought could be more sensitive for the germination and reproductive stage as compared to the vegetative stage. So there will be a different effect of the drought at the different stage and interfere with the normal plant functioning, which ultimately cause the reduction in final yield. So the effect of drought stage vary with the crop stage of even, and the effect of drought also vary with the different types of crop. Means the effect of drought means in the wheat crop, the effect of drought is different than the rice crop, and also some crop like sorghum, they are more tolerant as compared to the other crop. So they are, there will be some drought tolerant crop or some drought susceptible crop. So the effect also vary with the crop and the different growth stages. Also it is vary with the local environmental conditions. Okay, like if we will see that in the Rajasthan, there is a drought, then there is also high heat, because there is a very high temperature. So generally crop faces the drought and heat stress. So the drought affect the seed germination, vegetative, reproductive growth as well as maturity stage of a crop at different scales. Means it vary with the different crop and different stage. Also it is vary with the frequency and duration of the drought stress. Means the drought stress is the high, moderate or low. So it is also vary with the, means there will be a low, could be low drought stress, moderate or high drought stress. It is also vary with the duration. Means drought stress is for short duration, moderate duration or long prolonged period. So when the drought stress is for prolonged period and the frequency is also high, then there will be a high, there will be a high effect. Means they will be more affect the crop growth and development. So the drought mainly reduce the mechanism of plant that interfere, that reduce the crop yield. Like they decrease the canopy absorption of PAR, means they reduce the photosynthetic active radiation. They reduce the radiation use efficiency. Also they reducing the harvesting index HI. So they are also affecting the several mechanisms. So this is about the some basic of the drought stress. Now come to the effect of drought stress on the plant. So first is the, this impaired the germination and poor stand establishment. So this is the first effect of the first growth stage, that at germination and seedling establishment stage, this drought stress reduce the germination percentage or germination potential, hypocotyl length, shoot and root fresh weight, also the seedling length and the fresh and dry weight of the seedling, decrease the cell elongation because there will be a less water available for the growth, and also they reduce the expansion of cells and reduce the mitosis or cell division. So these are the important or main effect of the drought stress at the initial germination phase. So in this pics also you can see that in control condition there will be a good growth, but at high drought condition there will be a reduction in seedling length, seedling growth, also germination potential. So ultimately they reduce the seedling vigor. So these are the effect of drought stress on the initial phase. Next, it reduces the yield determining or yield structure attributes. Okay, so drought reduce the time to anthesis. So some plant use the anthesis, time to taken to anthesis. They also use the shorten the grain filling periods. So these are mainly drought escapers mechanism, means they are reducing the period for the growth and development. In the barley, they reduce the number of tillers per grain, tillers, also reduce the grain per plant, and also reduce the individual grain weight, means test weight. In maize, water stress reduce the yield by the delaying the silking intervals. In soybean, drought stress reduce the total soil seed yield and the branch seed yield, means from the primary and secondary branch they affect the seed yield. At high concentration of drought at flowering could be result in the barrenness of the pod, means there will be a no seed formation because of the reduction in the assimilate flux to the developing air below reduced. When the drought condition is very high or water stress for the prolonged period, then it can cause the barrenness in the pores because it reduces the assimilate passing to the grain part or developing grains. It also decline in grain yield from reduced sucrose synthesis activity, means they reduce the synthesis of the sucrose synthetic enzyme. So ultimately it reduces the grain yield. So these are the effect on the yield attributing traits. Then water relation. So you know that there is a water stress, so it will ultimately affect the water relations of the plant. So it reduces the relative water content, leaf water potential, stomatal conductance, transpiration rate, that leaf temperature, canopy temperature also influenced by the plant water relationship, means they increase the leaf and canopy temperature and reduce the relative water content, leaf water potential, stomatal conductance and transpiration rates. So ultimately they affect the plant water relationships. In a study, it was found that in Opensia, there will be a total 57% of total water content is reduced under the drought stress. What it increases the water use efficiency. So we can say that if there will be a drought stress or water stress, then water plant use water more efficiently because it need to save for the survival. So they increase the water use efficiency. And then next is the nutrient relationships. So you know that water is important for the nutrient uptake and transport. Okay, so it will reduce the, there will be a lower absorption and transport of the nutrient from the soils. It is also, there will be a reduction in the energy ability for the assimilation of nitrate and ammonium, also decrease the nitrogen use efficiency and nutrient acquisition. So the all the aspects of the nutrient relationships like uptake, transport, absorption, acquisition, assimilation, the all the process are reduced under the drought stress. Then assimilate partitioning. So you know that the water stress reduce the assimilate partitioning and reduce the transfer of the assimilate to the grains. So it also reduce the alteration of dry matter to the roots, and there will be a decrease in the photosynthesis, means there will be a decrease in the source, disrupt metabolism level of sucrose in the leaves, that spill over a decreased export rate, means there will be a less synthesis of sucrose. So ultimately it decrease the exports of the uh, carbohydrates, decrease the sucrose export to the sinks. So there will be a less availability of sucrose to the sink tissue like roots, grains. Okay, so it causes the reproductive abortion. Okay, also it reduce the invertage activity. So this it cause the improper unloading of the phloem, also inhibit the cell division in the developing embryo and endosperm, which result in the weak sink intensity, ultimately cause the fruit abortion. So these are the some effect of the drought stress. Now come to the photosynthesis. So drought stress reduce the leaf expansion, which reduce the photosynthetic machinery, means it damage the photosystem first. Second, also some proteins D1, D2, also it's reduce the Rubisco activity. Okay, and there will be a premature leaf senescence. So it can also be seen in many field condition that underwater condition plant starts senescence very early. Also it decrease the food production and limited CO2 uptakes. Then photosynthesis can be reduced by there will be three reasons that it affects the stomata oscillation, means reduce the CO2 uptake. Then closing of stomata reduce the turgor pressure, also reduce the CO2 inflow, and there will be a production of ROS. So environmental condition that enhance the rate of transpiration also increase the pH of the leaf cell, which can promote the ABA accumulation and decrease the stomatal conductance. So there will be a, under drought condition, there will be a movement of stomata and formation of ABA. Then photosynthetic enzymes, so it decrease the Rubisco activity, also cell shrinkage, increase solute concentration, rapid diminution of Rubisco small subunit, means damaging of small subunit, carboxylase, reduction of carboxylation efficiency, speed of Rubisco also reduced, and also some enzymes like pepcage, NADP, malic enzymes, Rubisco, fructose biphosphate, PPDK, pyrophosphate dikinase. These some important enzymes also affected under the drought stress. And next, third one is the ATP synthesis. That drought stress limit the ATP synthesis by affecting the ATPase activity. Okay, so photosynthetic can be reduced by the stromatal movement, photosynthetic enzymes, or ATP synthesis. Respiration. So at initially it increased the respiration, means degradation of metabolites, but at severe stress it reduced the respiration because of the reduced shoot or root biomass, also reduction in the photosynthetic activity, increase in the ROS activity, and electron goes to the alternate pathway. So there will be initially there will be increase in the respiration activity, but ultimately it reduce the respiration because due to reduction in the biomass, photosynthesis, and there will be a more ROS activity and electron goes to the alternative pathways. And last one is the oxidative damage, means there is a production of that peroxide hydroxide ions which damage the ultimately the cells. So this figure describe the all the effects of the drought stress on the different processes and functions. Like seed germination, already discussed, is reduce the seed germination, coefficient velocity of germination, seedling energy, also reduction in the root length, shoot length, and seedling vigors. At that same time, it reduces the amylase, protease, and lipase activity, which decrease the seed storage. Okay, also affect the embryo growth. Okay, also it increase the ABA and GA ratio. Okay, so decrease the germination because ABA promote the dormancy and GA promote the germination. Then there will be accumulation of stress proteins such as heat shock protein, Lia protein, late embryogenic abundant proteins, and dehydrations. So they will be used for the drought tolerance. Also there will be an expression of some stress responsive transcription factors. So these are occurs during the germination times. In case of mineral nutrition, it's affect the uptake and transport of essential nutrients. Also it's affect the nutrient transporters, like there will be HKT, and there are so many transporters which are affect under the drought stress. Then photosynthesis is reduce the total chlorophyll content, pigment composition, and increase the maintenance respiration or reduce the growth respiration. Means the respiration responsible for the growth is reduced, but maintenance, because there will be a more damage, so need to be maintained. So increase the maintenance respiration. Also affect the enzymes of Krebs cycle, C3, C4, and phosphorylation and electron transport. So all the most of the enzymes are affected under the drought stress. Also affect the component of the photosystems like D1 protein, D2 proteins, rubisco, pyrophosphate kinase also affected under the water stress. So also the drought stress affect the water uptake and transport by the affecting the gene associated with the aquaporins. You know that aquaporins and osmotic adjustment. Okay, reduce the uptake of water due to reduced water potential because water is already available is means ability is very less, so it will reduce the uptake of water. It also reduce the plant growth and development via affecting the leaf area, plant height, fresh and dry biomass, and assimilating partitioning during the vegetative phase. Okay, plant growth regulators. So it affect the abscisic acid GO ratio, accumulation of cytokinin, ethylene, brasinoster, jasmonic acid, and oxygens. So these hormones are also affected under the drought stress. And the antioxidants. So you know that there is a production of reactive oxygen species like hydroxyl, H2O2, and there are so many even superoxide. So they are reactive oxygen species which damage the cell organelle by the lipid peroxidation. So opposite to this, plant develop the antioxidant defense system. So most of the enzymes like the superoxide dismutase, catalase, peroxidase, malondiamide, uh, also glutathione reductase, ascorbate peroxidase. So many enzymes are also affected under the drought stress and weaken the defense system of the plant. And if we will see the RSI trait means root structure architectures. So it affect the root length, root width, volume, density, hydraulic conductivity, root pulling force, root length, density, deeper root width, and so many root traits also affected by the drought stress. Stomatal movements. So it reduces the stomatal conductance, CO2 fixation and transpiration, and yield attributing. So it reduces the qualitative traits like protein content, vitamins, iron, fatty acid, and lipid content in the grain. So it reduces the quality of the grains, and it also affects the pollination, fertilization, panicle length, panicle weight, seed number, and grain yield. So these are the yield structure or yield attributing traits. Okay, so yield attributing traits also affected under the drought stress, and there will be some molecular changes like it also affect the transcript expression of the gene associated with the antioxidant enzymes like SOD, catalase, peroxidase, MDA, PPO, GR, and APX, and also genes associated with the photosynthetic enzyme and metabolic genes. So these also affected. It can be increased or decreased under the this drought stress. Also, it affects the plant growth and development via the modulate expression of transcription factors. Transcription factors like MyB is there, NEC is there, MedBox is there, Worky is there, MyC is there, DREV is there. So these transcription factors are also affected under the drought stress. So friends, in this lecture we have discussed that the drought stress is a quantitative stress, means it affects the many traits at a time from seed germination to the maturity, different enzymes activity, different growth and development traits. So ultimately these traits affect the yield and the yield potential of the crop. So hope you understand the topic, and thank you very much.